Daylight. This is a message from Glenn Lab.
This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good day, welcome to your news at noon on Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith, and in your headlines today, International Energy Body says Guyana may never see promised annual revenues from oil sector. Economist says failure to audit and verify Exxon expenses should be criminal offense. In the Peru oil disaster, government secures additional compensation for citizens, and Human Services Minister slams businessman for trying to justify mistreating his daughter and says it's the worst anyone can do. Barbatians seek 50% reduction in bridge toll, and man dies after bus crashes into tree at Latham. Get the full details of these stories and more after the break.
Nothing in life is free, but the MyDigiCell app is. You don't need to be on a data plan to use the app. You can conveniently chat with Ruby or an agent for help. Check your account balance, activate a Prime bundle, or gift it to a friend. Send credit. Check the Georgetown and Burpee's bridge schedules. Activate a roaming plan. Play Shake to Win for cool prizes. So don't worry about a data plan, buddy. Download the MyDigiCell app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store today. Digicel, better together.
And now for the news in detail. An independent report coming out of the Institute for Energy, Economics and Financial Analysis has concluded that Guyana may never see the promised annual revenues from its oil sector, as the one-sided oil contract gives ExxonMobil and its partners the benefit, leaving Guyana and its people out of their fair share of the wealth. The report by the body details that Guyana's failure to implement a ring-fence provision has provided Exxon an opportunity to reduce the country's share of profits. According to the document, among the contract's weak provisions, Guyana never imposed a ring fence, which means that the oil companies can charge the government for costs incurred for new development and pay for it out of the revenues from Liza Phase 1, an oil field that commenced production since 2019. A strong ring-fence provision would have allowed ExxonMobil to charge only costs related to Liza Phase 1 against revenues received from oil from that field. In other news, 7 years after Guyana first announced oil finds offshore, none of its governments have been able to build the capacity to properly police the country's resources. One would assume that after 7 years, the government would earnestly seek to have measures in place to ensure available resources for auditing huge multi-billion-dollar expenses that this country must repay for the development of the sector. However, these measures are not in place, and some stakeholders continue to call for these lapses and a lack of urgency to save Guyana large sums of much-needed revenues to be seen as acts tantamount to criminal behavior. Economic and Youth Policy Advisor at the Office of the Leader of the Opposition, Elson Lowe, said that he believes that failure to financially safeguard the country in this capital-driven oil and gas sector should be a criminal offense. He explained that currently, Guyana is pinned to audit oil expenses within a 2-year time frame stipulated in the production sharing agreement that was signed with oil companies. Already, the time frame to audit the almost $10 billion Liza 1 and 2 projects have lapsed, and the same could happen to the $9 billion Kaieteur project if it is not audited by mid-year. And moving on, almost 3 months after the devastating oil spill in Peru that resulted in approximately 12,000 barrels of oil being spilled and contaminating their shores and waters, the country's Minister of Environment, Modesto Montoya, recently stated that the oil company responsible for the disaster must be honest and take care of the affected people, especially the fishermen. In fact, the Peruvian government has ordered Spanish oil giant Repsol to pay an additional $700 compensation to those who are affected by the spill. According to a Peruvian media report, Minister Montoya has indicated that this measure is a result of the efforts made by the government to meet the demands of the affected population. And now let's tell you, a driver was killed on Sunday morning after he crashed a minibus owned by the Anai Central Village Council into a tree along the Bina Hill public road located in North Rupununi, Latham. Dead is 48-year-old Lennox George of Anai Village. According to police, the accident took place around 3 hours 45, and there were two passengers in the bus at the time. They were identified as 20-year-old Juliana Williams and her 6-year-old Julia Williams. Both of them had sustained injuries and are presently admitted as patients at Anai Health Center. Investigators learned that George was reportedly speeding west along the road when the bus fell into a pothole. He lost control of the vehicle and it slammed into a tree beside the road. And now let's tell you, the Kitty businessman Devanand Singh, charged on April 1st for assaulting his daughter, tried to justify his actions by sharing what he called his side of the story. Not long after the interview ended, Minister of Human Services and Social Protection Vindhya Prasad posted on her personal Facebook page, and I quote, "The worst thing anyone can do is to justify abuse, violence and just plain cruelty. No one deserves that no matter what." Prasad also revealed in her post that Singh's daughter had made a report via the ministry's hotline number 914 and is getting the full support through its Survivors Advocate program. The assault on the young lady reportedly took place on March 25th. She revealed that after the assault, she was imprisoned by in her father's home, and was only able to free herself by unplugging the security cameras and escaping when her parents were not around. You're tuned into Kaieteur Radio 99.1 and 99.5 FM. We will resume after the break.
This is GHK Lal inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues. Immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
Welcome back. Let us continue with the news. The Central Quarantine Chamber of Commerce has called on the government to negotiate a takeover of the Berbice Bridge Company, Inc. to ease the burden they face accessing the facility. For years, citizens have decried the high toll being charged by the bridge. The chamber recently dispatched a letter to President Irfan Ali, Minister of Public Works Juan Edgel, Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs Anil Nandlal, and Senior Minister responsible for Finance Dr. Rashni Singh, requesting that the government negotiates with the bridge company owners for 100% ownership and a reduction of fares by at least 50%. The letter highlighted that when the coalition government assumed office in 2015, the toll was reduced from $2,200 to $1,900 for a regular vehicle to cross the bridge, and the said coalition had pledged to take annual measures to have the tolls further reduced. However, it never materialized and the toll remained at $1,900. And moving on, when one reflects on the extent to which Guyana has prepared for the effective regulation of its oil and gas sector and the revenues to come, Trinidadian energy strategist Anthony Paul asserts that there is indeed more the nation can do to protect itself. Paul posited that Guyana needs to put robust laws in place as quickly as possible so that oil companies can have no room to debate or wonder what exactly is required of them. With such laws in place, the industry experts said Guyana would reduce the chances for regulators being surprised by certain tactics or simply being fooled or abused in future oil deals. Gas flaring, the dumping of produced water, and oil spill insurance to cover petroleum activities are key matters that will affect not only Guyana but its Caribbean neighbors. As such, environmentalists attached to the Oil and Gas Governance Network, or OGGN, have written to CARICOM Chair of Conference of Heads of Government and Prime Minister of Belize, Johnny Briceño, to alert the organization of the transboundary risks the Caribbean coasts from ExxonMobil oil fields offshore Guyana, and to request that the body ensures Guyana plays its part to ensuring the oil company's operations are carried out in a safe and environmentally sound manner. OGGN warned that Guyana's failure to ensure that its oil and gas activities are carried out safely could devastate the region's environment, thereby crippling its economy. And moving on. ExxonMobil, BP, and Chevron Corp. have lost their second federal appeal against a lawsuit by the city of Baltimore, seeking to hold them responsible for climate change. On Thursday, April 7th, the 4th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals unanimously ruled and sent back the lawsuit once again to the state court, as opposed to the matter being heard in the federal court like the oil giants desired. With the court's ruling, the city of Baltimore has once again won the legal battle to have its climate change lawsuit against more than 20 energy firms returned to state court, where it believes it has a better chance of obtaining damages for the harms it maintains the fossil fuel firms knowingly have inflicted on the city and its residents over decades. And finally, let's tell you that Arapaima Logistics, a joint venture logistics company between Roraima Airways and the Trinidad headquartered Ramps Logistics, has teamed up to offer additional support to finding international markets for Guyanese agro-producers. The majority Guyanese-owned company, in a release yesterday, said that it has managed to help Pomeroon farmers export some 40,000 locally grown coconuts to Florida. Arapaima said that its Florida shipment is the first step in the direction of increasing the volumes of local agricultural produce in the international market. And now for the page 7 of the Kaieteur News. Guyana is at a serious crossroad. The country is at a stage where it can reposition itself from a poor developing nation to one of the most prosperous countries in the region and even the world, given its resources versus the less than 1 million souls living here. Leaders of this country must, however, believe that Guyana can be lifted from the abyss. They must believe in their people to back them if they demand more from the foreigners who have seen our resources and want to benefit from it. There is nothing wrong in asking for more. There is nothing wrong with saying to our foreign friends that we appreciate your investment, but our people deserve more. When our leaders cannot do this, who will stand for us? Guyanese, we must stand up. We must ensure our own future. And that brings us to the end of today's main newscast. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar?